The time has come and Beyithirr the Dragon is now up for pre-order. Campaign style from Four Horsemen Studios. The website is storehorsemen.com. This is an item that is really hard to communicate how spectacular it is. Like seeing it in person versus pictures. Like when you look at a picture, you kind of look at the whole thing. But when you're in person, you can really zoom in on the details. Some of the folks who have taken photos of like a close up of the neck, a close up of a piece of wing, a close up of a foot, like a close up, like those actually can kind of help get a sense of it because you get to see how crazy detailed it is, painted top to bottom. You used to look at HasLabs, like it's a lot of, plastic color and then some details painted on top. This is every single inch of this thing is painted. It's beautiful. Anyway, so this is again, campaign style pre-order. It is not done on Kickstarter, so they do have to charge up front because their system just does not allow it, right? Like if they had invested in a system that would allow paying later, the price would have increased. Like any kind of additional thing they do with it is going to increase the price of the unit. So I think, just doing it on their website made the most sense to do it. And they're kind of like handcuffed to a system that they have to charge up front. And then if it doesn't fund, they refund your money at the end of the month. That's how they're doing it. I think that's going to create some interesting patterns. It's going to operate a little differently than like a Kickstarter, where Kickstarter, you have like a huge number of people at the beginning backing it. They don't have to pay till the end. And then a whole bunch of people at the end backing it. But in this case, I think you're going to see far more people on the tail end of it backing it because they're going to wait until they've saved up the money. They're going to wait for paychecks. You could see like pretty big bumps on Fridays when people get their paychecks, right? So this campaign is going to be a little different. I do think a lot up front, a lot up back, but I think it's going to be a little more back heavy. It ended up doing over 500 units on day one. So that was a pretty strong start, a quarter of the way there. This thing needs 2,000 units to fund to go to production. And it's already over a quarter of the way there, like in the first day. So it's got a good shot, but it's not guaranteed. And the fact that it's not guaranteed is, I think, why a lot of the way they did it is how they did it. And we'll get to that later. I'm going to talk about the shipping and the crazy variance in shipping and the very high costs of shipping towards the end. So stick around for that. But let's go through the Dragon. Starting off with the dates, it's going to run from March 7th to April 6th. So you do have 1 month to get in on this. After that, you're out of luck. You're not going to be able to get it. So little FOMO there, obviously. I do think that they wanted to keep the window tight because of that lull in the middle, keep the hype up from beginning to end, rather than having a longer lull in the middle where people just drop out completely. Then, once it goes to production, it is going to have about an 18-month production time. They are scheduled to have this ship at the end of 2026. So, middle to late 2026 is about 18 months from now. And I think that that's a very realistic range because, even though some of these big waves like Necronominus sometimes get pushed out to 2+ years, this thing's already in pre-production. They have silicone molds. They're already making adjustments. This is, assuming they don't add a bunch of complexity to it by like accelerating past goals and adding more stuff. This thing should have a fairly tight production window. Obviously, it's new. It's going to take a while, but I think it's a very realistic 18 months. 2,000 units just for the Dragon. It's got that articulated head sculpt. It's got the kind of like more compact wing set, but just your basic Dragon, 2,000 units to get that to production. There are a couple add-on sets we'll talk about after, the expanded wings, the flaming set. So we'll talk about those after, but they are separate items, completely separate. Though those won't get made if the Dragon doesn't get made. They're not going to make those without the Dragon. $550 for the Dragon. If it hits 2,500 units, they're adding a figure in for that same $550 price. This is Beyithirr the Champion. He's a Dragon Knight. He's a green motif, greens and blues. Really cool looking knight. It does have a brand new head sculpt and shoulder pauldrons that will be exclusive to this set. So this figure is never going to get made again outside the dragon. If you want this figure, you're not going to get it unless you want the dragon. So just kind of write this figure off. Also, they're not going to reuse the new parts. The new head sculpt and the new shoulder pauldrons, they've already stated that those are exclusive to this and they will be retired. Those molds, those parts will be retired after the set. So you will not ever see those outside of this set. So this figure is going to be very rare. I mean, it's potential to have 5,000-6,000 of them out there, which is a pretty good number, but they're going to be very locked into this. Like, they're going to be very hard to get. People paid a lot of money for them. They're going to be very expensive. I wouldn't really count on being able to find one in the aftermarket. If it hits 3,000 units, it's going to get an incredible upgrade kit that has these amazing cloth goods from C. Jessam. Keithlin and CJ, they just knocked it out of the park with this cloth goods set. It's so epic. It's amazing. And it's also going to come with a swap out piece for the shield that has those like 3D sigil type things on there. This one having, of course, the dragon head. That piece, I don't think they said that is going to be exclusive. So you could see that piece come later, I think. But the head, the helmet there, and the shoulder pauldrons exclusive to this set. Also comes with a lance and a few other things. So pretty cool stuff there with the Dragon Knight Benagar. And then if it hits 3,500 units, you're going to get a second stretch goal figure, which is the charred remains of a human being. It's a skeleton, but it's all burnt. The pictures make it look a lot grayer than it is. They showed it on the live stream. They had them at the show. It is pretty much a charred black skeleton. Okay. So that's at 3,500 units. And then if it hits 4,000, it's got a couple extra heads and a shield, just some extra pieces to go with that skeleton there at 4,000 units. I like that the really big appeal one, the knight, to me is like major, is at the lower tier. That speaks volumes for the horsemen that they want to get these things made. It's not necessarily just about making as many as they can. They want to get it made, and they're putting that really appealing one at the lower level, which is super cool. And then there's 2 add-on sets, which they're not going to make them. I've heard some people ask if they're going to make these add-on sets. If let's say the add-on sets hit their goals and the dragon doesn't, are they going to make? No, they're absolutely not going to make those. That's ridiculous. So, it's all dependent on the 2,000 dragons, but in their own little sphere, they have to hit their own numbers, because if only 200 people order them, it's just Four Horsemen will be losing money on it in terms of the factory needs them to order a certain number. They can't just say, let's make 200. Like, they need to order a certain number of them. So the number is probably 1,000. They're probably going with the bare minimums on all this stuff. People have to back it for 1,000 units. It's $150 for the flaming set. What is it called? It's called the Fiery Breath add-on set. The price is $150. It comes with an addition, it's a swap out neck that's more extended. It comes with a different head sculpt. It comes with the flame effect. It comes with a circle of a ring of fire at the base of the flame, and it comes straight out of the gates. Just needs to hit 1,000. Needs to hit its base funding goal. It comes with a figure, which is a flaming knight, which is amazing. This figure is super cool. It matches the flames. It looks like the knight is on fire, especially like his core, and then his feet and hands are about to get there, and it's like melting outward. Super cool piece there. So you have that flaming knight at the base level of 1,000 units of the flaming fiery breath set. If it hits 1,250 units, which I think is a very modest stretch goal, it's pretty cool. It will come with a bunch of extra parts, including some swap out limbs that give it like a fully flaming look to it, and a few other little pieces there that come with it at that 1,250 goal. And then we have the Epic Wings set that comes with a zombie figure, and this, like, the size of these wings is massive. They're gigantic. I can't even imagine the size and the cost of the tooling to make these wings. They're so damn big, and there's 2 of them, and they're fully painted top to bottom. And then you get this zombie, ashen zombie. Again, much more black than it looks like in these photos. $150 for this as well. If it gets to $12.50, get a couple little add-on pieces of shield, some extra heads that go with that zombie to kind of complete it. And those are your 3 items. It's a very straightforward, very simple campaign. I do think one of the things that is difficult to swallow is the shipping on these items. The shipping for some people is really high. For international people, it's crazy. The shipping is super high. The reasoning here is that they had to go straight up shipping calculated by size and weight and the 3 different packages, and they're just using the shipping services. They're just saying, hey, rather than having a large number of US customers subsidize the shipping for the small number of European or international customers, are saying, let's just let it kind of like be what it is. Like we have to keep the dragon itself. That is the most important one. The $550 dragon, keep that as low as they possibly can, and just let the shipping determine whether people are going to order it or not. So I imagine there's going to be a pretty low number of international people ordering it, because it's not like shipping included or distribution, any additional thing, whether it's finding a way to distribute it in Europe or finding a way to distribute it in, like, the factory doesn't ship. They don't have fulfillment, right? Like they just put it all on a container and send it out. And so like for the Horsemen to find a distributor in Asia and then have that group distributing and then one in Europe, like it would just add to the price of the dragon. And their largest number of people, the people that are most likely going to tip the scales in terms of just large population of people buying this thing, are in the US. So if you increase the price of it for everybody, then I think you have a much less likely possibility or likelihood of it actually funding and hitting that 2,000 mark. So it kind of sucks. It feels like, they're screwing over the international customers, or they're screwing over the West Coast customers or whatever. But the reality is I think they know that they need the US customers to buy this thing, and there just won't be enough people if they start bowing out because the price is too high. It's already high. It's a luxury item. It's already an expensive item. I don't think you could call it necessarily overpriced, because the Horsemen have already said, and these are like good people. Like I don't think they're lying. Like these guys don't lie about stuff. They are operating on the slimmest of margins because they want to get this thing made. This is about a statement. This is about a project, an event, not really about making profits. They're not going to make a ton of money. Of course, they have to pay their employees. They don't want to like screw over their employees, or they don't want to like, go broke or whatever. But they're at this point on this kind of item, their margins are super slim, so they can't bake any shipping costs in. They can't like roll it, they can't subsidize anything else with it because it's that expensive to make. So that's the unfortunate reality, is the shipping. They do offer a pickup option. If you live nearby, you could pick it up, but I'm close enough where I could, but I couldn't do that. The thing is, if you pick it up, they're going to set a date, and it's going to be after all of the units have shipped out. All of the units that were purchased for shipping have shipped out. So you're going to be waiting weeks, if not a month, to like wait for that pickup date. And I think there's going to be some frustrated people when that happens. They need to read the fine print there, because that's, it's awesome. It'd be fun to do like a road trip down with buddies and get it. But there's going to be people, I can see people just super frustrated waiting for the Necronominus wave. Now imagine that with the dragon, the most anticipated action figure of the decade or whatever. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the pickup thing. I had to pay the shipping. So yeah, for me up in Massachusetts, shipping just the dragon alone was $40, which is totally reasonable. That a huge box like that, like I plugged it in to like the US Postal Service and the FedEx to see what it would be. And it was like $100 plus, maybe even like a couple $100 to ship something that would be like, a 3-foot cube at 30, 40 pounds. it was insane. So $40 is not bad. But you have to pay for shipping for each item. So like, I think the cheapest one was the fiery breath, which might have been around $20, and then I think or maybe $15, and then I think the wing set was $25-$30, something like that. So it came out to be like $80-ish shipping for me. But then as the further away you get, the larger all three of those costs get, and it just gets big. I think people in West Coast were saying about $70-$80 shipping for just the dragon, possibly up into the $100+ range if you're shipping all three items. So yeah, I think there aren't enough people out there who are like valuing the dragon alone. There's a lot of people that are like all or nothing, and I don't think that's a good approach for this, because the add-on sets are add-on sets. Like, you're not necessarily going to have them everything displayed. Like, the dragon is the thing. The dragon is the thing, and even the figure that comes with the dragon, if it hits the 2,500, is crazy good. To me, it's the best thing in terms of the stretch goals. I don't think enough people they're writing off the dragon alone. They're saying, well, this thing costs $1,000. Well, no, you could get the dragon for $550 plus $50 to $100 shipping. Like, it's not $1,000, right? Like, so anyway, those are some of my thoughts on the dragon. I think, let me know if you have any more questions. I might do another video. Like, I'm just kind of throwing ideas out there at the end here. But let me know if you have any more ideas that you want me to talk about the dragon. Thanks for listening, and until next time, may the force be with you.